What does it take to get into an M7 or Magnificent 7 business school? MBA Crystal Ball is a boutique admissions consulting firm. Each year, we help a select few candidates get into the world's best business schools. Here's one such story of an M7 admit to inspire and educate. Hello, welcome everyone. Today we are with Neel, who is going to Kellogg this fall of 2024. Welcome Neel. Thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Okay, thanks Neel. So, for our viewers' benefit, give us a quick profile overview, in things like, where did you study, where do you work, how many years of experience, GMAT score and everything, a bit an overview.
So I did my engineering from IIT Madras and I graduated in 2020. And ever since I have been working at Axis Bank as a business analyst. And currently I'm a lead analyst, but I started as a business analyst. And yeah, it's been about 3.5 years right about now. And yeah, my GMAT score is 760. And yeah, my profile mainly involves working with a lot of people, that is operations team, sales team, and all the various teams to see how we can facilitate, based on the data we have, how we can facilitate, their work.
So let's turn the clock back, and a few years to like April 22 around. I think that's the time, I think you were already done with your GMAT and you had 2 years of experience. And, that's when I think you started thinking about MBA itself, right? Talk to us about why did you plan about an MBA at that point of time, and what was your thought process at that stage?
All right. So yeah, like you said, by that time I had been working for about almost 2 years already.
Correct.
So then I was enjoying my work, and what I enjoyed about it was analytical in nature. Right? It was not purely technical, but it required me to be analytical. And what I felt was, okay, I'm doing good at this, but I want something with a bigger scope. I was already leading a small team by then, but I wanted something with a bigger scope, working with a lot of different people. Because we work with various teams, my projects varied, but I wanted a bigger variation of what I did and something more global. So that's why I felt that at this point of time, I have learned what I need to learn at this role, and I want to grow as well. So MBA right now makes a perfect sense, is what my thought process was then.
Right. And that's the time, we kind of started interacting, and that time we're taking our profile builder sort of package or service. So, help us understand what made you think about that, and what was the interaction at that point of time, and how that kind of maybe changed or transformed the way you were thinking about your plans.
Right. So I guess like everyone, I was researching my options on internet, like about the schools, what they stand for, and how they would fit into my plans and everything like that. So yeah, while searching for them only and looking through the articles, videos, experiences of students and alumni, then I came across articles from, that were written by you or Samir, right? From MBA Crystal Ball. So I felt that, okay, I did enough research on internet, I need to speak to someone right now. So that's how I reached out to you. At that point of time, I was already fixed that, okay, I want to go, I want to apply this year only. That was in 2022.
Correct.
So yeah, so that's when I reached out to you, and if you remember, we had our discussion at that time. Like, okay, what are my chances right now, and what are the schools I should look at, and that's what I wanted to discuss. So yeah, that's what my state was in April 2022.
Excellent. How did the profile builder transform the way you were thinking about it? And if you can tell us a few specific steps you think you took after, because I think that's the time you decided that at least I'll wait for another year, if not more. So, talk us through about the specific steps you took after that discussion, to kind of enhance the profile.
Okay, first I'll get into, why I took the profile builder package itself instead of the map or the, directly going for a 4 schools package, SC editing services, right? So what we discussed at that time was, based on my profile, it was just 2 years, and average tends to be around 5 years for all these B schools. In US B schools, for Europe, it's even higher. And at that time, you said that, okay, like we discussed about what I did during my college, what all extracurriculars are there, and my extracurriculars post that, and my role. We had an entire deep dive into my profile. Then I remember the feedback that the chances at that point of time wouldn't be great about the work experience itself, because within 1.5 to 2 years we wouldn't have explored as much as business schools expect us. And also about the outside of the work profile also, during my college, like we had discussed, I had some decent extracurriculars and the things I was interested in. but there wasn't any continuity to that. It was just work after that. So we decided that maybe if we wait 1 year and if I work on my overall profile, not just get done responsibilities at work, also continue the things I was interested in. Right, during my college, I worked with Nirman. That was a pre-incubation cell. So I worked with startups to help them get incubated, go from idea to incubation phase and all.
Yeah.
So I felt okay. These are the things I was really interested in, but I didn't continue any of that. So and like they look at a holistic profile. So I felt that yes, it makes sense. Waiting for 1 or 2 years. I actually wanted to apply as soon as possible because I was in the mindset that okay, I'll apply right now. After that discussion, so I thought okay, 2 years might be too much. At least 1 year, I'll work on improving myself. And yeah, that's how I went with the profile builder package, because anyway, I'm going to wait right now. And yeah, even I remember we had this discussion also. Okay, like even if I don't get selected this year, what's the harm in applying? Because if I apply, I get more experience.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember you telling that if I apply now and I don't get in, it will the onus of proving that I have had a significant jumps after that. My profile has changed significantly. It will be on me to prove it to the schools.
Right. Yeah.
So I felt that okay, now like if it is so clear that my profile needs improvement, like there are clear areas of improvement. I thought like when I am ready, I'll give it my best. So yeah, that's why I went with the profile builder package.
Perfect.
And yeah, in the profile builder package, based on our discussions, the specific areas of improvement should be in my work. It has to be more impactful. Like I remember you saying either the work should be earth-shattering or the role I'm in should be earth-shattering. That was one of the things. And second would be the extracurriculars would be, let's not just say extracurriculars, it seems like we are just ticking them off the box. It's about how you are as a person and what else you are interested in. So yeah, those are the two things I had to build upon. And based on our discussions, I focused on both things, like finding the role which is role and a company either which is widely well known, simultaneously taking on more work. Right, I went beyond what my job description was to go talk to more people, more stakeholders, and learn that, and being more proactive in a sense. Right, that's one. And second, the other thing was on extracurricular side, I was exploring more things like Toastmasters or something tangible. It's not just that I did this, I did that. I wanted to do something I'm interested in also, and it had to be, there should be something tangible to show for as well. So yeah, I explored Toastmasters. Along with that, I explored that okay, if there is any way I can be in touch with the startup community from our school or any other startup community in general.
Correct.
So I explored along those lines as well. Yeah, so I'll first go with work. What happened? I got promoted shortly after, and even about the update I spoke to you, if I remember that, yes, it is a definite step forward, but that won't be enough. So I still have to do something outside of the work as well.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, then the Alumni Association of our IIT Madras, they held one of the events. So I just went there. It was called Entrepreneurs Are Done. Yeah. I remember like, I was blown away because they had invited a VC, and the way he thought and everything, I was completely blown away. So I felt that, okay, these people are bringing in really amazing people. And I want to be a part of this, not only just attend this. This is what I have been doing, right? The point is help people, with their startups. I talked to the committee members and said that, look, I have this experience. I have done this in college as well. And this is what I'd like to do here. And yes, and they brought me on board. And since then I have organized events where, that have been attended by, 50, 60, some by over 200 people as well. Exactly. So that was a totally fun experience, and eventually I became a co-chair of the committee. Right?
Yeah, which was a big deal, right?
Yeah, so that was a big deal as well. I wanted something tangible, and this was not expected as well. I was enjoying doing this so much, and it just resulted in this. So so things really worked out.
I think it's so beautiful, right? When I see something like this, because I always say, though these things thrive on volunteers, right? So most of the times it's just about just raising your hand and saying, hey, I'm available, right? And that's just inspired. So that was amazing. And I think, you worked on this very diligently, cut to 1 year, right? So May 23 is when you decided, this is when I want to apply. So talk to us about what was your thought process, and did you still have any sort of hesitation or concerns about your candidature, right? What was your thought process and state of mind at that time when you decided to take the plunge?
Okay, so by May 2023, I was already in a place, I knew for sure that I'm in a much better place than what I was last year. Right? I was really happy about that. But then again, a lot of things are uncertain. You don't know what exactly they are looking for. Online, there are many opinions, but still nobody has a clear objective view of that. Okay, this means if I have ticked these boxes, then I am done. So I knew that I'm in a much better position. So it means that odds have definitely increased, but I don't know if it is enough. So that's what my state was, and that's when I reached out to you. And I remember our discussions and that, this year odds are better. Maybe waiting one more year would be even better. But this year also there are chances. And I remember saying that, okay, I want to go all in this year.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it was.
Yeah, I think, it was your conviction that drove this eventually. But I think what will be very useful is, I know you did a lot of research, right? If you can give a glimpse of the kind of research on the schools that you did, right? Because I know you created multiple Excel sheets and dates and all that. Means obviously that's too detailed for this format. But if you can give a glimpse of the kind of research, and maybe like 2 or 3 things that you think people should do for sure, that you really benefited from in terms of the research and thinking through about this process.
Initially, I was obviously when I was researching all the schools, even before, even during my GMAT phase, which was like in 2021 or in start of 2022. Even I remember M7 had a certain allure to them. I wanted to see, this is where the faculty, people, how the positions they went to after that. This fantastic alumni these schools had produced. So I remember that I want to go to M7. That was the conviction I had at that time. But then I wanted to, you have to balance being idealistic and, completely ambitious. And there is other aspect is being practical as well. So I narrowed it down to top 10, top 12 schools, right? A few M7, few non-M7. Then I analyzed all those schools, right? And then there were a few parameters I saw. One, how well it fits in terms of my dream. Second was how easy it will be based on my profile, right? And I come from a banking background, which is an analytical role, right? And I have a good GMAT score. So I thought I'll look at schools that maybe value GMAT score a little more, and they are looking at people who have had basically statistics, right? The number of engineers before education was engineering, pre-MBA, and the kind of roles they were working in was similar to mine. So I made a note of that. Then there were other practical aspects, like what is the location, right? How far it is from the big hubs, basically, right? How far it is from New York or Chicago or San Francisco, all the big cities, basically, how far it is from them. Then based on that, I made a cluster that was the ones that are really attractive to me and that would be on the easier side. Then things that are attractive to me, but probably are on the harder side. These are the 2 things I wanted to focus on, because the things that are not really that attractive to me, I didn't want to go for them at all.
And I think I remember, I think just to add on to what you told me, about how you also created, you would kind of document all the sort of conversations, that you had with the alumni and how that was useful, in your essay phase as well. So that was really, I think, pretty intensive work that you did. So coming to our engagement, were there like any specific things, that you still remember, any vivid thing, that you thought was maybe an aha moment or something, that was a highlight of our engagement when we worked together?
Oh, with MCB? Okay. You remember the first review of the essay we had? The thing is, I put everything into writing my first essay. This was after we chose our first school. I had multiple schools, right? So then we decided on which school we'd write essay for first, and then go on choosing the schools later on. So when I sent in the first draft, and it was already after I had poured in everything, and I get a revert back from you saying that it is nearly abysmal, that it could use a lot of work. So that was 2 things. One, it was shocking, right? First, it was shocking. I worked so much, and he's saying, no, it is not, it is. You were quite frank with me. So what you said was along the lines that it was abysmal. So that was shocking, the first thing. But second thing was, okay, if he's saying that, so the final product or whatever, let's say the final where we'll reach with the essay, it will be much better than where I am at. So for me, that was the aha moment. I was like, okay, I made the right choice. The thing is, like, the best I could come up with, even though it was the first draft, I put a lot into it. Right, and if you think that this is really abysmal, it means that it is going to become much better. So that was the aha moment for me.
Very good, very awesome. So tell our audience where all did you get admits from, what kind of financial assistance, and what did you pick and why?
I got admits from Kellogg and NYU Stern, and I got waitlisted at Booth and Darden. For me, it was a decision about pursuing the waitlist at Booth and Darden, plus before the deadline making a choice about Kellogg and Stern.
Yeah,
their deadlines were about somewhat similar, and I went with Kellogg. So one of the primary things was, like we had discussed, consulting and tech both are really attractive to me. I mean, those two are like really close by, and the fields I want to get into. And based on the placement statistics and all the recruitment and everything, Kellogg tends to do slightly better in both these aspects.
Sure.
So that's why I felt that, okay, compared to New York being the financial hub and all, still Kellogg outweighed that. And Chicago is also, quite a good place when it comes to companies, employers. So that's why I went with Kellogg. And again, the second aspect, it's a minor, but the second aspect was like the initial desire I had about M7. So that also played in a slight role.
And I think given the current sort of American sort of placement scenario, do you have any concerns as you're going in? What kind of thought are you going into this with?
So one of the things is, I thought maybe should I wait, should I defer? I have actually considered that as well. One of the reasons I want to do it right now, even in 2022, I wanted to do it at that point, was I felt that, okay, this is the time to accelerate. I'm young, I'm in my 20s.
Yeah.
I am really ready to give it my all.
Right.
So I felt that, this is what I want to do. Once I've decided that, okay, I'm going there as soon as possible, then it's just about, yes, there is a slight concern about, market slowdown, especially for the tech space. But yeah, Kellogg happens to be one of everything is affected because it is all heavily dependent on the parent economy itself. But Kellogg happens to be one of the least affected, so I'm hopeful about that. And second is Kellogg has a they emphasis a lot on the team-based culture also. So right. And Kellogg has a really strong support systems for that as well. Sure. So yeah, that kind of puts me at ease somewhat.
Sure. Yeah, I think, I echo that. Now as an end note, now that you've kind of moved to the other side, right? After this kind of long and taxing journey, would you have like 2 or 3 things, if you were to pick from all the things that you did, right, which you would suggest every candidate should do? In general, or someone coming from a banking or a tech space, any 2 or 3 top things, if you were to suggest, what would they be?
I think these top 3 points that I have carried in within myself, which have helped me through this process, would apply to everyone, not just those in banking space.
Sure.
Throughout this application process, first, you will have to put in a lot, and there will be lot of self-reflection.
Yeah.
The flip side is, because you're self-reflecting a lot, there will be a question that, okay, will I be able to do this? Because you're questioning yourself a lot throughout the entire process. Because all the essays, each essay, one essay, all the different schools, one school asks you about past, other school asks you about future, other school asks you about, okay, where are you right now and what are your values? They cover entire landscape of what it means to be a human, right? So there will be a lot of self-reflection, especially if you're applying to a lot of schools.
Yeah.
And during that, you tend to question, okay, despite all this, will I get through or not and all?
That's right.
What I say is, this process will really help you discover yourself. Don't just think of it as just, I'm doing it just for the B school. Obviously, that is the primary reason, but not just for that. And whenever you go through those negative phases, right, that they tend to come, like the self-doubt, I say that try to keep them to a minimum, or try to eliminate them if possible,
right,
because they don't serve any purpose whatsoever. Those thoughts, they can hinder you during your efforts, but they won't increase your odds of getting in any way. There are so many things you have to be aware of, right? Even throughout all this self-reflection, talking to alumni, students, and there are so many things you have to do. And the applications themselves are quite exhaustive. Right? You might make some mistakes. So you really need to be in a correct, nice state of mind so that you don't end up making mistakes. This is one key takeaway you take from video. I'd say that this would be the one thing. There is no point of self-doubt whatsoever, because no matter what happens, if you give your all, you'll come out, it'll be a much more upgraded person, let's say, by the end of it.
Absolutely.
Second one I'd say was really helpful is use as many tools as possible to keep things structured. You'll be using this a lot during this time. Don't carry everything in your head, because you need to be as structured as possible so that you can get as much done as possible.
Sure.
So this I'd say is the second one. Like, these two things have really helped me out. The third one would be just, speak to a lot of people, because one thing I generally found out was you need to reach out to a lot of people. Less than half of them will revert back, and even of them finding the time, because we are in a different time zones. Finding the time will be, slightly. You'll have to connect at weird times, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. You remember, right? I used to, after I spoke at 3 a.m. with one of the alumni, I made changes accordingly, and then I sent it at 4 a.m. So there'll be a lot of those times. So when you're speaking to the alumni, just make sure that you are very intentional about what you're doing, what you're going to ask. Right? That person has served as a VP of certain club. Right? Then ask them specific questions about that club and what you plan on doing to that in that club, and if that's feasible or not. Get that opinion, right? So be very intentional in that. Don't just go to them with the generic questions.
Perfect.
So I'd say those three are the top advices.
Very, very helpful, Neel. Thanks for sharing your journey with our viewers, and all the best, and we'll be watching your journey to Kellogg and beyond. All the best.
Thank you, MG.
Right, thank you. We hope you found this interview helpful. At MBA Crystal Ball, we've helped many applicants like Neel in this interview get into the elite business schools, often with scholarships. Reach out if you're looking for professional help with your applications. Good luck.